All right. Yep. Sorry for the dead air, but if you're if you view this channel with any regularity, you know that dead air is part of the program. I was thinking that last night because we were talking about Keith Foskey with and what he said to open last night's um, last night's stream. So, I just sent him a note with some words of encouragement. It's like, hey, we get it. And it's hard. Just send some words of encouragement his way. I sent a similar message to the two preachers at the church that I go to. I sent it to one, told him to share it with the other because I thought it was, it's important sometimes, to know that people appreciate what you do more than just they're thankful that you do it, but understand to a degree that there is difficulty, that you're not Superman. We're not expecting you to be superhuman, but what you do is great, and you know we're glad we get to experience it, and you're the person who provided. So I sent that to him. Keith asked for a copy of it, and so I was listening to it, and I was like, man, that's a lot of dead air on this. I wish I could be more professional at this, but I'm not. I'm not. It's it's flawed. It's deeply flawed. It's amateur hour on this show, and because we talked for about an hour as well. So we call it amateur hour with the Bible, starring a flawed man of God. Welcome everybody to this show. My name is Stuart Davis, a flawed man of God, humble parishioner at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. Not a pastor, not a biblical scholar, haven't been to seminary. Not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. I'm just here to talk about God, talk about Jesus, talk about the Holy Spirit, talk about the Bible. We talk about that tonight. Talk about Christianity. Talk about a wide variety of different topics, issues, and current events, and bugs flying on my hat. Topics, issues, and current events, and give you my perspective on them. One that I think is reflective of your average Christian guy. I've been a Christian all my life, 41 years, non-denominational Protestant. Don't subscribe to any particular doctrine or denomination, just in the word daily, trying to get it right each and every day. Sometimes I will succeed in that, often I won't. But no matter what, if you're tuning into this show, if you're listening to my voice, you can count on getting my honest takes on whatever it is we're talking about. So if you are somebody who's new to Christianity and you are seeking out God, pursuing Christ, or you're considering taking those first steps, and you're hesitant, you're nervous, you're worried, I get it. It's a big step. I grew up in the church, so I don't have your perspective on things, but I can understand the amount of courage, to a degree, it takes to put your faith in something. Put your faith in something in a world that hates faith. Everything needs to be concrete and provable and observable, measurable. In a world that loves to talk down to people who believe in the scriptures. In a world where even the church has people in there who do the wrong thing. Sometimes they just fall and make mistakes. Other times it's done maliciously. We're all flawed. It's not just me on this show. We are all flawed. And sometimes we do damage, more damage to the faith than folks on the outside ever could. But that doesn't take away from the truth. That doesn't take away from the sovereignty of the Lord. And it certainly doesn't take away for Christ's sacrifice on that cross and what he could do for you. So if you are wanting to pursue God, if you need some motivation, if you get nothing else out of this stream, please take this. I believe in you. Keep going. If you were honestly, earnestly, obediently pursuing Christ, you are on the right track. Keep it up. I'm rooting for you. The chat here is rooting for you. The listeners here are rooting for you. Christians everywhere should be rooting for you. And more important than all that, God's rooting for you. We all want to see you make it. And that, when you think about it, is more than any fan base. More fans, more people rooting for you than any rock star, any athlete out there. Take that into consideration. And if you need to go, then that's great. But I would say might be worth sticking around if you like a very open, comfortable setting to discuss faith, maybe learn a couple of things. This is not a 101 level class. This is just discussion. It's just talking. This is just my takes. I say it at the beginning. I'm an amateur at this. But maybe you'll pick up on kind of what it's like to see Christians getting together and discussing faith and be a part of it. If you were already a Christian and you just enjoy Christian topics and conversations, welcome as well. Find that we run this very similar to a Wednesday night study group or a Sunday school. It's all about the small group because we are a small group. There's counter on here shows that 4 people are tuning in right now. I've got 3 folks in the chat, right? We are a small group, which is great. Perfectly fine. It allows us to be more talkative, many times more open with things. That's good. That's excellent. But no matter what, that's our focus. As long as we're a small group, we will continue to conduct ourselves accordingly. If we grow, we grow. Hopefully we don't shrink. But nonetheless, we're here. No matter what, no matter how many people are tuning in, we're reading this Bible. We're talking about this scripture. But the good news is, as small as we are, your comments are welcome and appreciated. Even if we were big, they would be. But it's easier for me to interact with you when there are less of us. So get in the chat. My invitation is to anybody to get in the chat. Because that's what adds to fun. The chat is so good for content. It is so good for this show because it's all of us talking together. Even if it's just to say hi, even if it's just to say, hey, I need some prayers, even if it's just to say, I got praises today. Pull your chair up to the bar. Hang out with us for a bit. This is sweet tea, by the way. Be part of the group. And it's easy to do. Just put your 2 cents worth in. Where do you think I'm right? Where do you think I'm wrong? What do you agree with or disagree with? What unique insight, perspective, or experience do you have that maybe we haven't considered or talked about? Maybe you just want to add on to something somebody else said. Share your opinion. Ask questions. Might not have the answer to them, but we can talk about it nonetheless, and maybe point you in the right direction. So that said, how's everybody doing? We're not going to do a whole lot of small talk in the intro here. We'll say that I will say that there was a Christmas pageant at our church. My daughter was in it, my middle kid, and she was awesome. Just came out there, didn't stumble over the lines at all, had a smile on her face, was loud when the voices were kind of quiet. It was a little bit more quieter. You could hear everything she said. She nailed it both times. And the fact that she was just so joyful in participating in it, didn't matter how good she did. But the fact that she enjoyed it was just so fulfilling. It was great. It's always great. And so I'm just proud dad moment, bragging about it. So, yeah. All right. Vertex first. Nico's here. Hey, yo. Your Naeth, forgotten how to stream? Not entirely. Vertex said, we happy few, we band of flawed folks of God. Amen. Vertex saying, evangelical dark web reporting Bonhoeffer movie is pretty much a flop at this point. I've noticed there are varying opinions on Bonhoeffer. And it has to do with a lot of the things he said. I haven't read into him a whole lot. I know that in many circles, he's considered a hero for some of his actions. It is possible to act heroically, to do things, to do something that is right, but at the same time, also make mistakes. And I don't know enough about the subject to make a distinction on who is right or who is wrong. But on this, maybe there's probably more likely there's shades of truth on both sides. But EDW does one of the things EDW does well is present his case, right? He presents his case. He tells, this is why I think this way. This is why this is where my discernment is coming from. And I heard it from him against Bonhoeffer, Philip Dorita, who does the Psalms that I cut into, very similar point. And at the same time, other folks that I follow, positive things to say. Maybe sweeping a little bit on the stuff. I don't understand the context behind it. I haven't looked into it. So, I'm gonna let their words stand on their own. If you need to want to know more about Bonhoeffer and what he did in World War II and what he wrote, what the things he wrote during different points of his life, and that's the other thing that EDW talks about is Bonhoeffer went through a pretty based period, right? It's like we all go through different phases. We're all in different seasons of our life, where he seemed like he got it. He had a good bit of theology, and then towards it started off poor, improved, and then, and I might be reading this wrong from what I read of his article. Started off poor, got pretty good, and then later in his life fell off. Bonhoeffer makes some pretty troubling remarks about, it seems, from what EDW is presenting, that the historicity of the Bible is questionable. That there seems to be just some troublesome aspects of some of the things that Bonhoeffer believed in and talked about. So, Thad said, I came from the sleep clinic at the hospital, didn't have time to cook. Man, let this man cook. Too cold to walk to the Sbarros near the hospital. That's probably a good thing. So I bought a slice from the cafeteria, which is next to the morgue. Look, the hospital where all of my kids were born. Famous for their cafeteria, famous for their food for years. And I used to work right across the street from that hospital. My office used to be right there. And we would sometimes cross the street to the hospital to go to eat. That's how good it was. When my youngest was born, I mean, I was kind of excited about coming in. It was awful. Food was awful. They had changed at some point in the 8 years between kids, they had gotten a new contractor and food wasn't as good. And it was such a letdown because I moved on. I don't work at that office anymore. And I had lost touch with the things that mattered at that hospital. And unfortunately, it wasn't all that good. Hopefully it improves. So I'm about to eat. Pray for me. See, these are the prayers we need to know about. I'm eating hospital food that's been prepared next to the morgue. Yes. The Lord bless your food. May it all be what it's advertised as. Serranos. I don't even think I heard of this movie. It's kind of a big movie in Christian circles. I think is Angel Studios doing it. I can't remember. Um, I think the name of the movie is Bonhoeffer, and it's a puff piece. It's supposed to be a biopic about the things he had done in World War II, and I actually don't know much about him at all. But Veritax probably give you more context there. And he follows up the question I asked: why is a person who died trying to assassinate the Führer in World War II suddenly such a popular figure? The answer is probably the media propaganda and anti-Trump rhetoric of the last 10 years. Yeah, Christianity. You don't want what a lot of people don't like to do is prop up Christians. And but now what Bonhoeffer may represent to some people is a very compromised Christian position, which if Christianity is on the rise, which hopefully it is, or in at least in some aspect of our culture, some corners of our culture, if it is on popularity is rising, you want to mitigate that. Perhaps that's the correct question. Who knows? I don't know. But it is. I think I agree with you, Veritex. It is interesting that again, I'd never really heard of Bonhoeffer until last couple of years. His story feels like a footnote for most of us. Hotel pudding is some of the most glorious pudding anywhere. Confirming Angel Studios. Okay. Good evening. Sorry, missed notification. Was in a music tangent. Well, you're here now. We're gonna get into. I'm probably gonna go on in a music tangent. On a music tangent doesn't matter. Were you giving an argumentative tangent, Matt, or you'd like the guy who's talking about the Wicked Witch of the East, bro? Which is a hilarious clip. Anyway, in a couple minutes, I'm going to go tuck my son in for bed, and we'll get into Proverbs 24. It looks like we'll do half of it tonight. It's long, 34. A musical tangent is called a flourish, I think. Hymnal. So I listened to the Scott Weiland album, and parts of it I like when he's on his lounge singer style. When he's in his lounge singer mode, I think he's got a much better voice than I gave him credit for. Like he's got like STP, it's always good. But his loud singer voice is pretty solid. I'll Be Home for Christmas sounds like very close to the original. The beachy side of it, it just I like cold winter. I like snowy settings and everything. The beachy stuff just doesn't. It's kind of like a reggae sound to it. It just doesn't put me in the zone. But yeah, the crooner stuff is good. Like you said, crooner stuff is good. So I had mixed feelings on it. Anyway, sounds like so we're gonna probably do. Let's see. We'll probably go to 20, is what I'm saying. No, it's not. It's not funny. I was like, no, they didn't do this. I was like, because I got when he did that. Um, when he did that beginning couple of songs, I was like, oh, this is good. And then Oh Holy Night's the reggae style. I was like, I mean, I listened to it. I gave it a shot. I just couldn't do it because I part of what I love about Oh Holy Night is how just majestic it is, for lack of a better word. So how majestic, how reverent, how to me it's just like if you think of a song that goes with just falling on your like he's saying in the song, falling on your knees and worshiping. Oh Holy Night is that distilled, right? You got feel yourself, you feel you're just in prayerful mode. It's got that weight to it. It's got that powerful tones, powerful lyrics. It's just a banger. That's why I love it so much. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't give me that grief. I'm just saying it just that's fine. They should still sing it the way it's supposed to be sang. I don't mind people trying to do a twist on it. It's just not my speed. That's not my speed. Closest I can get to reggae is 311. Some Sublime. What? I haven't seen the Bare Naked. I haven't listened to the Bare Naked Ladies version. And no, I haven't listened to John Rich's Revelation yet. And I thought about that when I was listening to it. I was like, still haven't listened to that song that Dad was trying to get me to listen to. And I said I would do it. I'm gonna do it. I need to be stupid. I need to stop being stupid and do what I say. All right, let me go tuck the sun in, and we'll go from there. All right, leave you guys with some Psalm, and we'll get to it.
The earth belongs unto the Lord, and all that it contains, the world that is inhabited, and all that there remains, for the foundations thereof. He on the seas did lay, and he hath established upon the floods to stay. Who is the man that shall ascend into the hill of God? Or who within his holy place ever firm above, whose hands are clean, whose heart is pure, and none to vanity, who hath not lifted up his soul so deceitfully. He from eternal shall receive the blessing in upon righteousness, even from of the salvation. This is the generation that after inquire, O Jacob, who will seek thy face with their lost desire. Please lift up your heads on high, ye doors that last forever. Be lifted up, that so the King of glory enter in. But who of glory is the King? The mighty Lord is there. Even that single, that great in might, so strong in battles. And ye gates, lift up your heads, ye doors that do last forever. That so the King of glory enter. To thee I lift my soul, O Lord, I trust in thee. My God, let me not be shamed nor foes triumph for me. Let none that wait on me be put to shame at all. But those that without cause transgress, let shame upon them fall. Shew me thy ways, O Lord, thy paths. O teach thou me, and do thou lead me in thy truth. Therein my teacher be. For thou art God that does to me salvation send. And I upon thee all the day expecting to attend. Tender mercies, Lord, I pray thee to remember loving kindnesses, for they have been of old forever.
Boom, boom, boom. Muffins. All right. So let's get into our reading, because Lord knows I need it. All right. So we finished up Proverbs 23. They seem to, the scriptures, the Proverbs are seeming to flow a little bit differently. As we saw at the end of 22, we're getting multiple shifts or multiple verses along. So we might be able to knock out half tonight. And I'm going to read about as far as we're going to go, and then we're going to review, kind of like how we did Psalms or the Psalms. All right, 24. Do not be envious of evil men, nor desire to be with them. For their minds plot violence, and their lips talk of trouble from the innocent. Through skillful and godly wisdom, a house, a life, a home, a family is built, and by understanding it is established on a sound and good foundation. And by knowledge its rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. A wise man is strong, and a man of knowledge strengthens his power. For by wise guidance you can wage your war, and in an abundance of wise counselors there is victory and safety. Wisdom too is exalted for a hardened, arrogant fool. He does not open his mouth in the gate where the city rulers sit in judgment. He who plans to do evil will be called a schemer or a deviser of evil. The devising of folly is sin, and the scoffer is repulsive to men. If you are slack and careless in the day of distress, your strength is limited. Rescue those who are being taken away to death, and those who stagger to the slaughter, oh, hold them back from their doom. If you claim ignorance, say, see, we did not know this. Does he not consider it who weighs and examines the hearts and their motives? And yet, does he not know it who guards your life and keeps your soul? And will he not repay you and every man according to his works? My son, eat honey because it is good, and the drippings of the honeycomb are sweet to your taste. Know that skillful and godly wisdom is so very good for your life and soul. If you find wisdom, then there will be a future and a reward, and your hope and expectation will not be cut off. Do not lie in wait, O wicked man, against the dwelling of the righteous. Do not destroy his resting place. For a righteous man falls 7 times and rises again, but the wicked stumble in time of disaster and collapse. Do not rejoice and gloat when your enemy falls, and do not let your heart be glad in self-righteousness when he stumbles, or the Lord will see your gloating and be displeased and turn his anger away from your enemy. Do not get upset because of evildoers, or be envious of the wicked, for there will be no future for the evil man. The lamp of the wicked will be put out. Not bad. Serrano says this is a good one. You can want the power by joining certain groups, school cliques, less reputable companies, but you then become culpable for the group's actions. And to add on to that, you also become influenced oftentimes by those groups that you join or companies that you work for, the company you keep. There will be temptations. Like you said, be associated with some of the things that they're involved in. Precepts and warnings. So do not be envious of evil men, nor desire to be with them, for their minds plot violence and their lips talk of trouble for the innocent. We see people, we talk about idolizing people. Now, I'm not talking about in the biblical sense of what an idol is and what idolization is, but how we just seem to really follow folks and hang on to their every word, or want to be them, or look up to them, or think that they are this superhero who can do no wrong, or is so great, and he's really funny, or he's really smart. Swifties, right? Uh, Girls and I guess guys who follow Taylor Swift. I mean, and it's like what do they call orbiters? Orbiters. You've heard people refer to as orbiters before, where they just kind of orbit around this personality, and they can do no wrong, and always and they constantly feel like they need to attack folks who are critical of them, or they need to come to their defense, or they need to prop them up, or everything they said is great. Is great, and everybody who criticizes them is bad. And you see this all over the place. You see this, like I said, Taylor Swift, strange Canadian prime ministers. You see this um, with preachers, John MacArthur, who has a lot of very good things to say. Also said, but especially when he's on talking about scripture, be very, very much on point, very thoughtful. He drifts into other stuff and offers commentary, and it's less knowledgeable, and he ends up sounding foolish. But dude, he's got some hangers on that are just no. There's no way he can be right or he can be wrong. He can do no wrong, and you see those attitudes out there, and I think that there has been some accurate criticism of John MacArthur that has been, and there's been plenty of not unfair press against him. He's very popular. He's very polarizing in many aspects, but you get these people, and they just think that everything he says is gospel. They take everything he says like gospel. It's important not to be like that, because while it's not healthy to be have that mentality about any man, at least with MacArthur, it's probably going to be okay, because for the most part, what he says on a spiritual level is good. Right? He's not an evil man that they're talking about in Proverbs. He's not going to plot violence, talk or something. E-celebs, on the other hand, we can take it onto the other side. Andrew Tate, Nick Fuentes, good examples of people who have this following around them. The cult of personality. Everything revolves around them, what they say. There's no humility there. There's always this kind of sense that there's duplicity or some sort of ulterior motive with them, where there is selfishness, some sort of selfish desire engaged with them. I mean, we've seen, the kind of the fruits of their own labors and what that has created. But we see people get caught up in that. So it's always good, as a general rule, not to be not to be envious of anybody, not to ride on anybody's coattails. The only person you should be orbiting is Christ. But to use Andrew Tate and Fuentes as good examples, they cause trouble. The things that they say aren't wholesome. They are going to convince you to do things that you shouldn't be doing. They're going to do evil and wicked things, or they might try to get you to do things on their behalf. First off, Welcome to the show, Jenny. There it is. Evening, everyone. Good evening, Jenny. Glad to have you here. And to Thad, you heard about Fuentes and Destiny? Yeah, of course I heard about that. But that Fuentes has been on the radar as a weirdo for a long time. The things that he does, he tries to pose off as a hard trad cath and all that other stuff. It doesn't. It's like a kid playing with matches, and all of a sudden a bunch of people started to see he created some fire and thinks he's cool. And again, you've got a young kid who doesn't know what in the world he's talking about, what in the world he's doing, and all of a sudden he's trying to be this political figure. And and there's the Catholic LARP behind it. It's just these guys need prayer, like everything. We're going to talk about, and we're going to use this kind of as we close down the end of the show, because both these are good examples. But I mean, I didn't think it was going to come about that, like how it happened last week, how it broke loose. But did we see it did we see it ending any other way for Fuentes? And now he's arrested. For last I heard, he was arrested for macing that lady at the door, which doesn't look like self-defense, buddy. But again, that's for him to hash out in court. That's his problem. But these are good practical examples of e-celebs, even in Tate's all about hedonism, all about all this other stuff, all about himself, all about, it's just weird. It's a weird brand of attempted masculinity. That, oh, I'm rich, right? And I'm in shape. So obviously everybody should be like me. Like those are the only two check boxes you need. Oh, yeah, I'm rich, I'm popular, and I'm in shape. That's all that matters. It's the most superficial, most shallow understanding and self-justification you could think of for a man. I'll let women answer for what they think is the most kind of shallow aspects for women, but for me as a man, those seem like the most shallow aspects. But you see that a lot in the manosphere with grifters. You see that a lot in kind of this podcast, YouTube, whatever Spotify culture that there is. It's a lot of grift out there. There's a lot of money that people are making, and whenever you're going to find that, you're going to be people in that hustle, trying to do whatever. Don't get caught up in it. Your truth is in the word. Truth is in the faith. These other folks, they say something that makes sense. If they say something that's poignant, that's great. Don't be envious. Don't envy them. Don't want to be part of what they're doing. I hope so, Matt. It's run its course when Wes Watson freaked out at Trad Dad was peaked in unmasking, in my opinion. It's still going on. It's still there. It doesn't seem to be at the forefront like it used to be, which is great. The more of that stuff kind of just peters out into obscurity. And the more that, and it's not like, look, it's not shameful to be successful. It's not shameful to be in shape. It's not shameful to have people who look up to you. None of that stuff is bad, but those aren't justifications on the why you are great or that you are great at all. And they're troublemakers. Right. And then we thought, and then we kind of roll into this through skillful and godly wisdom, a house, a life, a home, a family is built. And by understanding it is established on a sound and good foundation. The reason this is obvious is because skillful and godly wisdom, it's understanding the word, understanding what God's commandments are, understanding the principles and the spirit behind those, the things that Christ taught us, which were supposed to be understood at this point, but part of the reason Christ is teaching people is because they had gotten away from that, away from what Moses taught. They had just focused on the law and not the why behind the law and and what that was supposed to build. It was missing the love and the grace that God had been showing us through his own example with the Israelites. But reading that, understanding it, being part of it, learning, gaining that wisdom, obtaining that knowledge is how you build a life for yourself and for your wife and for your husband, for your kids. It's that firm foundation, that firm Christian faith in that foundation. And by knowledge, its rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. Where are your riches? Is it in your bank account? Hang on one second. Is it when you look back at videos of your kids? Me, when I remember me remembering baptizing my kids this past Easter. That has got more value to me than anything I've ever had in my life. Precious and pleasant riches, being told by Nico that I had a hand in bringing him to Christ. Bringing my wife, or my wife crediting me with her coming to faith. Seeing my kids grow, get married, have kids of their own, raise them, these are precious and pleasant riches. Be good husbands and wives, fathers and mothers. That's a legacy. That's an inheritance. It's nothing to do with a dollar. That's my bottom line. Where were we at? Here we go. A wise man is strong, and a man of knowledge strengthens his power. For by wise guidance you can wage your war, and in an abundance of wise counselors there is victory and safety. Yeah, wise man is strong because he is he knows what he's about. Knowledge is power. Right? It is good armor, it is good weapon in and of themselves. about taking care of life and dealing with life and what it has to throw at you. It's one of your greatest tools, and that does make you strong and powerful. And they kind of elaborate on their wise guidance. You can wage your war in abundance of wise counselors. There's victory and safety. Fight those demons. You can fight off those temptations. You can make better decisions when tough decisions need to be made. You can make decisive action when it needs to be made. Because you have wisdom, you've gained knowledge, and you have surrounded yourself with others of similar mind and ability. And you can help other people too, right? Wisdom too is exalted for a hardened, arrogant fool. Let's see what they say how that's written. Wisdom is too high for a fool. In the gates he does not open his mouth. That's what the ESV says. Here in the Amplified, wisdom is too exalted for a hardened, arrogant fool. He does not open his mouth. In the gate where these rulers sit in judgment. I'm trying to understand where he's going with this. Because you would think that a fool would just run his mouth, right? But they say he doesn't open his mouth in the gate. But maybe he knows. Wouldn't that be wisdom in itself? What do y'all think? Matt's pointing me to Luke for the previous two. He knows how dumb he is, but isn't that wisdom in and of itself? That's part of the punishment and shame. Oh, okay. All right, what do we got? 14, 31, 32. Or what king, when he sets out to meet another king in battle, will not sit down and consider whether he is strong enough with 10,000 men to encounter the one who is coming against him with 20,000? Or else, if he feels like he is not powerful enough, while the other king is still a far distance away, he sends an envoy and asks for terms of peace. Yeah. Okay. I like those. I like what you guys have to say. Nernaeth here with he knows how dumb he is, and it's part of a punishment and shame. Like either even instances where they are like, I'm an idiot. I can't say anything. I don't know. Or when time has come to speak, he just doesn't have the fool doesn't have anything to say. Maybe when that hits you like a ton of bricks. Where is here it is. He who plans to do evil will be called a schemer or deviser of evil. The devising of folly is sin, and the scoffer is repulsive to men. If you are slack, careless in the day of distress, your strength is limited. Okay, let's go back. First two. Let's go 8 and 9. He who plans to do evil will be called a schemer and deviser of evil. The devising of folly is sin, and the scoffer is repulsive to men. Yeah. Do evil, going to get called out as doing such. Right? Going to recognize it. Hopefully, somebody's going to notice it. I like is it Abraham Lincoln who had the quote, you can fool all the people some of the time, or some of the people all the time, but not all the people all the time. You will be called a schemer, deviser of evil. You will be found out. Lies tend to eventually catch up with people. Devising a folly is sin, and the scoffer is repulsive to men. And then once they find out about you, you're radioactive by anybody who's worth appealing to. Right? If you are slack, careless in the day of distress, your strength is limited. Yeah. If you're heading the game, are you prepared? Is there a plan of attack here? If you're not prepared, if you're not ready, your strength is limited. Say you might not overcome it, but you're limited. You're vulnerable. Rescue those who are being taken away to death, and those who stagger to the slaughter, or hold them back from their doom. Rescue those who are being taken away to death, and those who stagger to the slaughter, or hold them back from their doom. This is a lot of times to me is people who are trying to justify a sin, giving into a sin, trying to compromise that part. It's okay. God's okay with it. He's not. And don't let him know. Don't let him just go, oh, okay, pat him on the back. So you'll be all right. You're gonna be all right. Whatever you figure out will be right. It's not how that works. Yeah, I talked about it yesterday. The holding somebody's hand and walking them towards damnation. Don't be that. Be the person fighting against that. Do you care that they think that you were a jerk for telling them that they were wrong? And maybe what you said rings true, or that you were being judgmental or whatever? Would you rather them think that and then eventually recognizing the wisdom in your words and coming to terms with that, versus they think you were super nice and super understanding and encouraging with the thing that they wanted to do that they shouldn't have been doing, so that they continue to do it thinking that they were okay? That could make you feel good? Wouldn't make me feel good. Irenaeus said, sitting in the gate is where all the official business is done in a city. He's not getting ahead in life by doing anything. He is not part of society. Because they view him as a fool. He's not, maybe that's why he is silent, because he's not asked to speak. He has been dismissed. He doesn't have a seat at the table. They don't want his input because everybody regards him as a fool. If you claim ignorance and say, see, we did not know this, does he not consider it who weighs and examines the heart and their motives? God knows whether you knew it or didn't know it. God knows. Does he not know it who guards your life and keeps your soul? And will he not repay you and every man according to his works? Uh-oh. Faith and works discussion. God's sitting there going, this is Solomon basically sitting there saying, you're not going to fool God. Your excuses are not going to be valid. If you know that they're not true, why do you think he's not going to know it? He knows us better than we know ourselves. He knows what's going on in our head. He knows what our intentions and our motivations are. And you're going to be judged accordingly. Oh, feckless. I love that word. Love that word. Hate seeing it. I hate it when people are feckless, but it's a good, got a lot of punch to it. Guys, go through life, guys and gal, since Jenny's here, guys and gal, go through life assuming that God knows everything that you're doing and he's right there in your brain with you. He's right there in your heart with you. He knows. He knows. Don't try to play word games. Don't try to bargain. Just do what you're supposed to do. Be honest about it. If you're something you desire and it's, pray about it. Pray about it. I know I don't deserve my blessings in life. I'm still thankful for them. I still ask them to continue to bless me. Still thank God I didn't deserve any of this, but thank you. Thank you so much. Please keep doing so. But that doesn't cover up any other problems I have. It doesn't cover up for mistakes I made. And I can't pretend that God doesn't know, and that I could fool him. I'm stupid. I am the fool compared to him. I don't know a daggone thing. Neither do you. My son, eat honey because it is good, and the drippings of the honeycomb are sweet to your taste. Know that skillful and godly wisdom is so very good for your life and soul. If you find wisdom, then there will be a future and a reward, and your hope and expectation will not be cut off. Huh? Clear comment, please. What comment? I don't know what you mean, Matt. Still pinned. Yeah, I have a bad habit of doing that. Sorry. What were we just talking about? There we go. Skillful and godly wisdom, which we've talked about throughout Proverbs. Discernment, being prudent, that kind of stuff. This time Solomon compares it, eat honey because it is good, and the drippings of the honeycomb are sweet to your taste. Same as this, because it is good for you, right? You should enjoy these things. They should be precious to you because they help, as we talked earlier, about that firm foundation, sound and good foundation. A house, a life, a home, a family is built. Because your future and a reward, hope and expectation will not be cut off. Do not lie in wait, O wicked man, against the dwelling of the righteous, nor destroy his resting place. For a righteous man falls 7 times and rises again, but the wicked stumble in time of disaster and collapse. Righteous man keeps getting up. Again, we've seen this with, this is my comparison between Saul and David. King Saul screws up. I'm never going to be able to make it right. I'm never going to be able to get it right. So I'm just going to do my own thing. I'm just going to do what makes me happy. I'm just going to give in to my impulses. That's just who I am. God just got to accept me who I am. Whereas David is, I've messed up. sackcloth, repentance, learns from his mistakes, moves on, does better. Here's the part where I was thinking we were getting to. Do not rejoice and gloat when your enemy falls, and do not let your heart be glad in self-righteousness when he stumbles. Well, the Lord will see your gloating and be displeased and turn his anger away from your enemy. We see folks, we talk about Fuentes or Tate, those personalities. We see them when incriminating evidence comes out or alleged incriminating evidence come out. We see them fall. Mahomes is a good guy. He gets all that hate is unnecessary. Brady left his pregnant girlfriend for a supermodel, billionaire. That was why my wife particularly is not a Tom Brady fan because of that. Mahomes, it seems, on the surface, is an affable guy. And Alex, their sports talk, you know. How'd you know so quickly it was sports talk? Yeah, seems to follow on the previous verse. A caution to not let your righteousness be corrupted by pride. Yeah. Understand that your righteousness is limited too. You're not fully righteous. You might do a couple of things right. You're not perfect. You're doing something wrong. You're a bad guy in some ways. And we shouldn't when they fall down. Look, are there consequences for their actions? Yeah. Is this should we think of this as possibly God teaching them a lesson? Yeah. Do we need to celebrate it and dance in the streets? And yeah, can't wait till he's burning in hell. No, that's not the attitude for that. When someone is brought low and humbled, you want them to take something away from that. You want to root for them. That's like I said about folks in the beginning when I start this show and I talk to people that we're rooting for you. We should be rooting for everybody to come to Christ. That's what we want, right? We want more brothers and sisters. We wanted more folks. We want the world to come to Christ, not just think that Christ will compromise and come to them. No, when they fall down, when they're down low, we want them to pick themselves back up and succeed. We don't need to. It's not our place to put our foot on their chest or on their neck in those times. It's between them and God. Will they learn their lesson? Maybe. You might even assume, and you might have a good point, that they're probably not. But again, it's not what you should hope for. And it's hard to do. It's not an easy thing for us. We've seen that they've sown a lot of discord. They've corrupted a lot of things. Well, maybe the point to getting back is because they're corrupted inside and they need to work on that. And then if they can clear that up a little bit, maybe they can start undoing some of the damage. Matt Felty said, I wasn't happy for the post-election liberal tears for mocking sake, but hopeful of better framing of political idolatry. Yeah, I thought that I thought that it was good in the sense that when that someone some shame would be brought or some self-awareness would be brought from folks saying, I am so upset about this. Maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe I shouldn't be so attached and wrapped up in my politics and ideology. Maybe there's something else out there that won't let me down. God, right? They've all stopped pretending to be this weird personality cult where everybody has to agree with each other. Or maybe they'll realize that politics does not have their best interests in mind. Maybe going through that struggle, maybe that humiliation process, maybe that significant emotional event will be what they need. I wasn't calling on fire and brimstone to get cast down on them. It's hard for me, but this is hard for me when I was talking about it the other day. I see it and it makes me so frustrated being on Instagram and seeing so many people trying to grift money by being divisive, by not representing the faith well, by starting picking fights with fellow Christians, or trying to strip people away from the faith. There's so much grift in there. So much. Pay attention to me. So much. Buy my book. Do this, do that. Pay attention. All this stuff. Very little of it is. Seems or it feels like very little of that of the content is earnest. Whoops. Almost spilled my drink. All right. Whoops. Nope. All right. All right. And the last two verses. Do not get upset because of evildoers or be envious of the wicked. For there will be no future for the evil man. The lamp of the wicked will be put up. We're just talking about being upset. Me being upset at what I see. This is a difficult one for me to deal with because I'm upset for what they're doing to themselves and to others. I don't like the idea of thinking somebody's walking off into oblivion. Or somebody's walking off into damnation. Happily. Because you know that what's there is not what they want. Maybe who knows? Maybe somebody really does want that from himself. Maybe they believe that they will reach an end and they don't want to be part of that. I don't know. But I hate seeing it. Because you were created. Why destroy? Why tear down? No. We'll do 21-22 tomorrow night. Yeah, we're already at hour 15. I did almost 2 hours last night. So we'll get to it later. We'll get to it. We'll get there. I should agree with you just because you set me up for success earlier, but he's taking his time back. Shut up. Yeah. This is a difficult thing, but this is a thing to improve on. right? It's hard not to be upset. And that's not to say that, there's not grace for you. When your immediate reaction is be upset about it. I think God understands that. Especially the knee jerk or the immediate. If somebody slaps you in the face, you get angry about it. Right? Somebody does something that wrongs you, you're upset, you're hurt. It's difficult to get to that. It's difficult to, I don't know. To me, it feels like it's impossible to immediately go to that place where I don't care. God's got me. All right. And as Jenny is checking out, so am I. Thank you as always, Stu, and everyone. Enjoy the rest of your night and be well. Thank you, Jenny, and thank you for your viewership. Jenny, Nernath, Matt Felty, Serranos, Alex Moore, Thad the Man, Veritax. I think Nico is the only one other than that. Maybe. Yeah, Nico. All you guys in the chat, thank you tonight. For your thoughts, for your hellos, for your goodbyes, for all of it. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you guys for just being in the chat. Dad's still alive. Prayers are answered. Good night. God bless. He says, good. I'd hate to lose you, Thad. Especially to such a poor ending. 8 hospital cafeteria food and died. It's not how I want you to go out, Thad. To everybody who is tuning in, not part of the chat, you're just listening. Hey, appreciate it. I know that you're always encouraged to be part of the chat. But I understand you might not be able to or might not want to. That's fine. I'm just glad you're tuning in. I'm glad that what I've provided is something that you want to continue to come back to. It's awesome. To everybody who is catching me on replay, thank you for watching. Number one, sorry I missed you. I hope to catch you live sometime. We'll be planning to stream tomorrow night. Make it 3 nights in a row. Haven't done that in a while. Hopefully we can make this streak continue. Everybody have a good night and God bless.